Trusting yourself isn't just about making decisions. It's about feeling guided by your intuition, your energy, and the connection that you have with the universe. When you connect with yourself and the world, there is nothing that can feel quite as magical as that. I'm going to be sharing 10 tips that help me trust my own intuition and the universe on a whole new level. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't watched my videos before, then hi, my name is Fleur. This is your space for all things self-development where we focus on growth, mindset and becoming the best version of yourself, so welcome to this space. Before we get started onto the video, I got my nails done today and I thought I would show them to you because they're so pretty. I went for a French tip with a red tip and a little white bow. And they're so cute, so I thought I would show you that. But yes, as I mentioned in the intro, we're going to be talking about 10 ways that you can connect with your intuition and start being that person who says that everything does happen for a reason, because in my world, everything does. Tip number 1 is to pay attention to angel numbers and signs. Now, if you don't know what an angel number is, it's basically like a connection that you may have with the universe. It's a language of the universe almost, so that when you see something like 111, which means intuition, or you see 222, which means alignment, or you see 333, which means support, or 444, which means protection, or 555, which means change, or even 666, which people think that that's just the devil's number, but it is actually an angel number, which means reflection. You know that it fits in with whatever it is that you're currently going through. By the way, I was looking to the right because I have all of my angel numbers on posters on my walls. And for me, when I see an angel number, I don't see it as a coincidence. I've been seeing angel numbers literally everywhere. Recently, for the past 2 months, I've been seeing them on number plates. I see a lot of 555s, a lot of 222s, a lot of 333s, and a lot of 444s. So a lot of change and protection and guidance, and you're on the right path. They all sort of mean the same thing. And it feels very fitting for me because I have been going through a lot of change recently. I've been going through a lot of reflection, and I've been going through a lot of transformation with myself as a person, but then also with the people that are around me, the opportunities that are being given to me. And I don't see them as a coincidence. I see them as the universe telling me, you know what, Fleur, you are on the right track. And even when you feel like you're not, and even when you're doubting yourself, you just have to keep going. When you start believing that these signs are guidance and not just a coincidence and not just numbers, you begin to notice these sort of like snippets of knowing, okay, that happened because of this, and then this happened because of that, and it all just sort of like comes into your head, and you start to feel like a mastermind of your own life, which you should do because it is your life and you're the one in control. But the key, honestly, is to see them as messages, to see them as guidance, and something that can make you feel protected in the decisions that you make so that you don't feel so alone. Tip number 2 is to define your belief system for yourself. I truly believe that we don't have to follow anyone else's rules when it comes to what we believe in with our faith, whether that's how we feel about God or the universe or spirituality, whatever it may be. I think that we all have the right to define our own belief system without someone saying that it's right or wrong, because how can someone know whether it's right or wrong for you when it's your belief system and it's what should feel right for you? It could be a combination of believing that it's your own intuition that you trust in, your own personal experience that you've gone through, or even just what feels right for what others may be saying around you that you can actually agree with. You have to remember that other people don't have to understand why you think a certain way about the world or about yourself or even about other people. What matters is that you do, and what matters is that as long as you stay true to yourself and your own beliefs, that's all you can really do for yourself, and that's the only way that you can show up for yourself, by knowing that deep down there is absolutely nobody that can come along and say, you know what you're believing in is not true, and what you're believing in shouldn't be true, and so you should actually go off and believe something else, because you will believe in yourself so much so that that won't even matter to you. By creating your own framework, you are trusting in yourself and knowing that your own convictions and your own beliefs are strong enough for you to be able to go off of how you feel about the world instead of how other people may feel about it. Tip number 3 is to reflect on your past so that you can then redefine your future. I'm not the kind of person that believes that we should forgive and forget and just move on. I'm a very forgiving person. However, it doesn't mean that I'm going to forget. I'll forgive, but I won't forget, because if I forget, then I'm leaving behind all of these memories that I could grow myself from. And even if someone may have treated me poorly, I will take that experience and I will use it as a chance to know how not to be in that situation again and how to respect myself enough to not have someone like that in my life again. But you can't do that if you just move on and forget about it. Like, of course, being a forgiving person is important. I mean, there is a certain line, but if you're always saying that you can't forgive someone and you're always, thinking about that thing that they've done, then you're keeping it present in your life. So obviously you need to be able to forgive them so that you can move on and focus on yourself. What lessons did you learn from it, and how did it shape who you are today and the person that you are today? I look back at all of my past memories and I think, okay, you know what? I did go through something that was really tough. At the same time, I'm very grateful for everything that I went through, but then I'm sure that there are things in your life that you've been through that aren't necessarily nice to go through, but you're still grateful that you went through them because they shaped who you are today. And if you didn't go through those things, you might not be the person that you are today when you look in the mirror and you love this person that you are today, or you're trying to love and appreciate who you are today. And so it's one of those things where you really do need to reflect on what you have been through so that you can take it and know that, yes, it might happen again, but if it does happen again, you'll know what to do, or it won't happen again because you know how to make sure that that situation doesn't happen again. But you need to know that reflecting on your past failures, your heartbreaks and the mistakes that actually helped you to become a better person is what will help you to make better decisions and trust yourself and be more yourself and be more authentic in the future, because not only will you understand certain patterns that might repeat in your life and you'll also be able to see where you went wrong, but you'll also have a connection with yourself that cannot be forgotten and cannot be left behind, because once you have created that connection with yourself, it's always going to be there. And more than anything, the one person that you should prioritize more than anyone else in the world is you, because you're the one that's going to be there for you at every single given moment. You're the one that knows all your thoughts. You're the one that has been there when you were crying and nobody else knew you were crying, or has been there when you were happy and you'll remember those memories. No one else can really love you as much as you can. And I think it is true robbery that we know that, and yet regardless of it, we treat ourselves like our enemy and we don't allow ourselves to give ourselves the love that we give other people, because nobody else is going to get access to as much of you as you can. And so you waiting for somebody else to come along and love you the way that you really want someone to love you is unfair on yourself, when you know that deep down the one person that can actually give you that love is you, because you know what you want. Having that connection with yourself and reflecting on your past and being a self-reflective person is only going to do good for you. And when the universe can see that you're working on yourself, the universe will give more to you, because that's how it works. The universe knows who is hardworking and the universe knows who may not be hardworking. So let's be one of those hardworking individuals who really cares about ourselves and really cares about working on becoming a better version of ourselves every single day in any way that we can. Tip number 4 is to listen to your gut over your mind. I've always had people tell me this, but your body knows before your mind does. Like, you will know deep down, you'll have that feeling in your gut, and yet there might be people around you who are going, no, you shouldn't make that decision. Or even your brain is probably agreeing with them, thinking, yeah, you shouldn't make that decision. But deep down in your gut, you know that if you do not make that decision that feels right for you, then you will be doing a disservice to yourself and you won't be giving yourself the life that you want to live. And I think that sometimes just trusting in our body more than anything is what will get us the outcome that we want. A simple exercise that I saw someone do on Instagram Reels is they wrote down a yes and a no on 2 separate pieces of paper. They put the yes in front of them and the no behind them, and they just stood still, meditated for a moment, and then they allowed their body to sway in whatever way felt right for the body to sway. If you swayed forward, it meant that it was a yes. If you swayed backward, it meant that it was a no. So I thought that was really cool. I've never tried that before, but I definitely would like to try that, because I do think that your body spiritually does know before your mind does, because technically speaking, we're more connected to our body than anything else, because, we feel our body more than anything else. Our mind is logical, but I think our body it's very intuitive and it knows before we think we know the answer. And so even if your answer feels like a maybe, that's often your mind telling you that there is actually a yes or a no, but you just don't want to listen to it because that yes or no isn't the answer that you want. But when you start listening to yourself more, you won't be the kind of person to be like, hey, I need help with this, or hey, do you think my outfit looks good, or hey, do you think this, or hey, do you think that? You'll know that deep down it's a no or it's a yes, and you don't need someone else to tell you that. And I think when you only refer to yourself in a situation for something, and you don't refer to anyone else, and you just make that decision on your own accord without anyone else's help, that is true self-reflection. And that ability to have that connection with yourself, again, is something that you cannot lose, because once you start trusting your gut over your mind, and once you start trusting your gut over anyone else, and once you just truly start trusting yourself, you will be able to make those decisions freely without the restraint of your mind or other people telling you that you shouldn't make those decisions because they're not logical or they don't make sense. This leads me on to tip number 5, which is to protect your energy. Energy is everything. Who you spend your time around directly affects your energy and how you feel. And I know this firsthand, because if you surround yourself with negative people, maybe people that are like consistently gossiping or have a very negative outlook on life, or don't want to better themselves and are happy with being in that state of sadness that they're in, you will feel drained after you spend time with them. I'm sure that there has been at least one point in your life where after you've spent time with someone, you have just felt very physically and emotionally drained, and you actually couldn't wait to get away from spending time with them. Like, I know it sounds cruel, but like, it's true. There are going to be times in your life where maybe you might have forced yourself to be friends with someone that you thought was right for you, but emotionally wasn't. And so because of that, you will come away feeling drained. And then there will be times where you spend time around people, maybe even people that you don't know, and their energy is just so healing that when you walk away from being in their presence, or from knowing them, or from having a conversation with them, no matter like whether it was a short one or a long one, you will want to speak to them again, because there will be something in you that would have just felt healed just from that little amount of time that you spoke to them, that you'll know, okay, this is a connection that I want in my life, and I want to pursue this person, whether it's a friend, whether it's a relationship, whatever it may look like. It can look like anything. Just knowing that you will feel healed and energized once having spent time with them. There's a saying where the 5 people that you spend the most time with become who you are as a person. If you spend the most time around people that have the kind of lifestyle that you don't want to have, maybe they smoke or they drink alcohol, or they're wild party people, there's nothing wrong with those kind of people, I would just like to preface, but maybe you aren't that kind of person, and so you spending all your time around those kind of people is putting you into situations you don't want to be in, like going out clubbing or going to parties or drinking alcohol when you don't want to be doing those things. You'll feel pressured. But then when you find your kind of people that don't like doing those things and maybe like doing other things instead, you will feel comfortable. And I think it's very important, more than anything, if you do not protect your energy, you cannot protect the connection that you have with yourself, and you're not respecting yourself. Because if you cannot show and prove to yourself that you can't be there for yourself in ways that may look like the kind of connections that you have in your life, how will you learn to trust yourself? This leads me on to tip number 6, which is make your space your sanctuary. Have you ever heard that saying, a messy room is a messy mind and a clean room is an organized and clean mind? Because I've never related to anything more. A cluttered space often means that person has a cluttered mind. You need to start treating your room and treating your house like it is a reflection of yourself. Decorate it in a way that feels authentic to you, rather than what's trending or what looks good on Pinterest or what looks good online. And when your space actually feels like a fragment of your soul, that's when you know that you've created an environment where trusting your instincts and making clear decisions comes naturally to you and to come home to and feel safe in. My room is a place where people will come into it and they'll think, oh my God, Fleur, like stepping into your room is like stepping into your soul. Like there is so much in my room that I've like placed purposely, that when someone sees it, or it's more for me than anything else, it's almost like you're learning a new part about me that you didn't know beforehand and you didn't know before coming into my room. And that to me is important, because if I'm not surrounded by things that mean a lot to me, like for example having angel numbers on my wall, or having Taylor Swift related stuff, or having a lot of books that I love to read, or a journal, or camera related stuff, or the goals that I have on my walls, or anything like Studio Ghibli related, because I adore Studio Ghibli, or Christmassy stuff at Christmas time, or just whatever it may be, I know at this point in my life that the way that I've decorated my room really does reflect me, and it's authentic to me. And I didn't go based off of what was aesthetic, I didn't go based off of what was trending, I just went based off of my own heart. And by doing that, I allowed to create a space for myself that felt like a sanctuary, and that allowed me to feel healed when I was spending time there. So that's very important. If you don't have a room that you can decorate for a specific reason, then another way that you can do this is just by almost meditating. So when you're in that room, put yourself into like a spiritual place in your mind where you're almost connecting with the space around you, like the energy around you, and you're making it your own, so that when someone else comes into that space, you have the ability to like separate their energy from your energy, and you're creating something that feels healing to you. And honestly, when you put time and effort into doing that, when other people will step into that room, they will be able to feel it. Because when people step into my room, they feel very healed, because I do a lot of healing in this room. Like, spiritually with myself, I do a lot of healing. And so I think because I do a lot of healing in this room by, journaling and meditating and doing things like that, when other people step into my room, it's almost like they themselves are being healed by my healing of myself. It sounds really weird and like woo woo gaga, but honestly it works. Like, the more that you spend time connecting with yourself, the more positive energy and aura that's coming out of you, and that is going to spread to whatever area you're in. Which is why when they say like, oh my god, she walked into the room and the whole room lit up and she was so bright and she was sunshine, all that, it comes from aura, it comes from energy. And you can do that for your own room, for your own space, so that every time you yourself come into that space, you can leave behind the struggles of the day and know that this is the place where you aren't going to think negatively about yourself. You're not going to bash yourself down, and you're really going to allow yourself to heal and come home to yourself. Number 7 is to educate yourself. I think honestly that more than anything, knowledge is power. Whether it's reading books or watching YouTube videos like this one, or listening to podcasts, which if you didn't already know, I have a podcast with one of my best friends, Molly Clark, and it's called the Being Grounded podcast. And we talk about how you can be balanced in this fast-paced world. So if you didn't know that, then definitely check it out, because we've had this podcast now for almost 11-12 months now, which means that our 1 year is coming up on January 7th, which is really cool. I can't believe it's already been a year, but I don't promote it enough on my channel because I never get the chance to, so I just thought that this would be a good plug-in. But finding a podcast that feels right for you, or even learning through the films that you watch, gives you clarity and gives you a chance to learn about the kind of things that feel important to you. When you understand more about the world, about the way that people think, about just everything in general, you feel more confident in your decisions, and you feel more confident in yourself, and you feel more confident almost in the kind of life that you want to live. I think when I was going through one of the hardest moments in my life, like when I was going through all of that chaos that was in my mind, the best way that I could do it is by feeding my mind positive information. And I will admit, I don't really listen to YouTube videos and podcasts as much nowadays, because I'm more in my own, like I'll be listening to music or I'll be listening to my own thoughts, because I think I'm at this point now where I don't need to fill the silence as much as I used to. But there was a time where I couldn't handle silence, and I consistently was listening to self-development. My best friend can vouch for this from having lived with me for 3 years. Like, all I was doing consistently was listening to self-development videos, and that became fuel for my own videos that I made. And so sometimes if you can't handle that silence, fueling yourself with the right type of information is important. Even just like listening to high frequency music or jazz music or calming music, classical music, allowing yourself to put yourself into that mind frame where you are trying to become a better person, but then you're also doing it on your own terms, I think is very important. Tip number 8, and something that I kind of have already touched on already, is to be your own best friend. Spend time alone and do it in a way that you aren't almost ignoring yourself. You're actually being there with yourself. I think you need to like go on solo trips, go to a cinema by yourself, go to a coffee shop by yourself, go to a restaurant by yourself, go on a walk by yourself. Because when you rely on yourself, you can prove to yourself that you are capable of doing something that you didn't realize you were capable of doing beforehand. So for example, for me, I went to Italy by myself to see my best friend for her birthday. If you didn't already know, I actually have a whole vlog where I vlogged the entire experience, and it is one of my favorite vlogs. That one and the Spain vlog, 2 vlogs that I really loved, and I do love doing travel videos, so hopefully we'll be able to do more in the future. One thing that I learned was that I had severe, and I mean really bad, plane anxiety, to the point where, because I was so anxious, I used to just pass out on the planes. More than anything, it was actually because of the nausea, because I do also have travel sickness as well. So when you match travel sickness with severe anxiety, it just looks like being passed out the entire time you're on the plane, and then you wake up feeling incredibly ill because your body is like, what the hell is going on? So for me, the anxiety that I felt in the airport and the nausea and the anxiety that I felt on the plane just completely ruined the whole travel experience for me. Relying on everybody else around me to do things and to sort it out for me so that I didn't have to think about it, I was just following suit, and I was following what everyone else was doing. And even when I traveled with my friends for the first time to Italy, I was almost doing the same thing, where I was like relying on my friend. And I realized that if I pushed myself to go by myself, which I did, I wouldn't have anyone else to rely on. I had a realization that when you do that and when you have no one else to rely on, you actually step up for yourself because you have no choice. It's almost like your survival instincts hit in and you're like, okay, if I don't step up for myself, if I'm not game right now, then I'm not getting on that plane and no one else is going to get me on that plane but me. And I didn't feel anxious. Obviously I did feel anxious, don't get me wrong, I was scared, but I wasn't as anxious as I would have been having relied on other people. It was almost like by relying on myself, I was showing up for myself and allowing myself to realize that I've always been capable of doing this. I just never allowed myself to realize that. So I think that sometimes the best way that you can handle your anxiety is to just go for it. And that is how you become your own best friend, because then you will be able to build that reliance with yourself, you know, the way that you would with a friend, right? You think, okay, I can go on holiday with them because I can trust that they're going to be there for me. Now you can go on holiday with yourself because you can trust that you're going to be there with yourself, or you can trust that you can meet at a coffee shop with yourself because you know you're going to show up for yourself. Like, honestly, it's the best way that you can be your own best friend, because when you show that you can show up for yourself, you'll build that trust. Number 9 is to try without fear. You can't be telling yourself that you can't do something just because it's new, because otherwise you won't be able to trust your intuition for future things in the future, but then also, again, you won't be able to trust yourself. And the basis of this video is that if you want to have a good connection with the universe, you need to first have a good connection with yourself, because otherwise you won't be able to interpret anything that's being sent to you as a sign. And so when you try new things, your trust builds as you act. And even when you fail, the more you learn what works for you and the more that you learn what doesn't work for you. And I've always said, and other people have always said this to me, that rejection is redirection, and that if you have been rejected from something, that is simply just the universe telling you it is not your thing and that you need to go somewhere else. It's the same thing with people as well. Like, if you've come out of a breakup with someone, there's obviously a reason why that happened. It didn't just happen for no reason. And in a sense, that just means that the universe doesn't think that that person is right for you, and there is someone out there who is right for you, which is difficult to believe when you're going through heartbreak. But then also when you get out of it, like for me, I did realize, like, oh my God, that was not my person. And I'm so thankful that I came out of that situation, because I know that there is someone out there for me who is everything that I do want in a partner, rather than everything that I settle for instead. And this can be said for anything. This could be career, this could be friendships, this could be relationships. When you are rejected, you are being redirected, and you have to believe that the universe is doing it for a reason. But you cannot believe that until you believe in yourself. Once you believe in yourself, you can then believe in the universe. This leads me on to tip number 10, and the most important thing that you will take away from this video, and that is that everything in life happens for a reason. In my opinion, if you want to have a little bit of hope and happiness in your life, then you just have to believe that everything does happen for a reason. Life has a way of guiding us even through difficult experiences, and when you truly believe, not just say it, that everything happens for a reason, the burdens and the hardships and everything that you go through, it just feels lighter and it feels easier to handle. And you begin to see lessons in even the smallest things. Like, let's go off of Karate Kid, for example, where cleaning windows felt completely pointless to him until he realized that that was a specific move in what he could use in a fight, but he wouldn't have realized that until eventually he was taught by Mr. Miyagi how to actually do that in a fight. And so to begin with, he's thinking, why am I cleaning windows? Like, what is the point of me cleaning windows? What's the point of me doing this like cleaning action? And then he realized that that was allowing him to then learn the move that he needed to learn in order to protect himself and to defend himself. So even the things that feel pointless, big or small, whatever they may be, you have to trust that they're shaping you and leading you to the path that you want and to being the person that you want to become. You will know deep down what feels right for you. You take away from this video what you need to take away from it. Intuitively, you will know what does feel right for you. Believe in that, and don't let someone else walk all over that belief, and don't let someone else push away your sparkle or push away your shine or push away that hope that you have for the world that shines brighter than anything else. If you are a happy person, you're a sunshine person, don't let someone take that away from you. You deserve to be like that. We need more people like you in this world. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave down a comment down below what you've learnt and what your favorite angel number is. If you're into angel numbers, then let me know which one feels the most important to you and the connection that you have with the specific angel number. Mine is 555 and 444. Those are my two favorite angel numbers. I post videos every single Sunday at 12 p.m. so I will see you next Sunday. Bye bye, my lovelies.